Aloha and welcome to the beautiful island of Maui in the Hawaiian Islands for the 5th annual Aloha Classic World Wave Sailing Championship, the 16th and final stop on the PBA World Tour, and a European company, Peter Stuyvesant Travel, has posted $50,000 in prize money. I'm David Stanfield, and joining me on today's Bennett Sports Special, two outstanding sailors, both in competition, Pete Cabrina and Kelbyano. Let's start with Kelby first. She has dominated this event the last 4 years. Kelby, tell me about the secret of your success.
Well, the secret for me has been just sailing consistently through these contests. I try to get as many jumps, as many transitions, and as many waves as I can get in 8 minutes. So I'll see if that works this time. I hope so.
Well, it's worked in the past. Best of luck today. But you've got some tough competition as well, both Europeans and a couple of Hawaiian sailors that are very difficult, at least to handle in wave performance.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch out, I think, for Natalie Siebel from Germany. She's 18 years old, and she's just got that zest that you need here at Ho'okipa when it's big. And for Hawaii, it's probably going to be Dana Dawes, Angela Cochran, and Lorraine Daly. They all want the title, and we're all going to be out there just competing for it.
Best of luck.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Also here from the island of Maui, local boy, but only for 1 year, originally from the island of Oahu, Pete Cabrina. Why move to Maui?
Well, Dave, a couple of reasons. First of all, the conditions. I mean, the wind that's just about blowing us off the cliff here is a trade wind that blows just about every day. We've got a unique situation. We've got Haleakala Crater, 10,000 feet high. The wind just squeaks around, and Ho'okipa is situated right on that side of the crater. Can we expect some big waves?
Outstanding conditions in the water. It's like bathwater out there. Great sailing, and sailing indeed for the best in the world, and you've got some tough competition.
Yeah, actually, we've got two titles resting on this event here. We've got the PBA World Cup title, and everything's hinging on this last event. We've got three possibilities for the World Cup championship. It's Robbie Nash from Oahu. Robbie really doesn't need any introduction. He's a 5-time World Cup winner. He's going for his 6th. We've got Bjorn Dunkerbeck from Spain. He's a bright kid. He's been hungry on the tour for 3 years now. It looks like he might do it this year. We've got also Anders Bringdahl from Sweden. He's normally a course racer, but he does really well in wave performance. Locally, we've got Dave Kalama. He's a hot wave rider, aerial specialist, and he's looking good for this event. We've also got Mark Angulo. He's sort of a rubber man. He's made up all these new maneuvers in the past couple of years. He should be the guy to look for.
Well, best of luck, Pete.
Hey, thanks, Dave.
Also in competition today, both men's and women's surf slalom, and we've got the incredible super session. So stay with us as the 5th annual Aloha Classic World Wave Sailing Championship gets underway here from the beautiful island of Maui. Welcome back to Maui and today's $50,000 Aloha Classic World Wave Sailing Championships. Today's event is being sanctioned by the PBA, the Professional Board Sailors Association World Tour, which was founded in 1987 by a number of longtime professional board sailors. Their commitment was to create a truly international world tour. And this year they succeeded in circumnavigating the globe with major events in Japan, Germany, Holland, France, Aruba, Curacao, Dominican Republic, Italy, Spain, and the U.S. One held in California, 2 events in Oregon, and this event being the 2nd in Hawaii. Prize money topped the $600,000 mark, and it will double next year. The PBA Grand Finale is today, the Aloha Classic, which is the 16th and final stop on the World Tour. This show will feature 2 of board sailing's disciplines, surf slalom and wave performance competition. The surf slalom is a figure-8 course set inside and outside the breaker line. Competitors race in 8-man heats and often reach speeds in excess of 30 miles per hour. But here at Ho'okipa Beach, the featured discipline is wave riding and jumping, also known as wave performance. This thrilling man-on-man competition has sailors harnessing the power of the wind and riding waves and launching skyward in an aerial assault to score points. As it stands right now, the overall PBA Men's World Championships will be decided in the slalom event. The 2 men battling for the title are Bjorn Dunkerbeck, 19 years old from the Canary Islands of Spain, and Anders Bringdahl, 21 years old from Stockholm, Sweden. The Aloha Classic Women's title for wave performance has a great matchup between Angela Cochran a former Floridian that's very determined, and Hawaii's Dana Dawes, the defending World Cup wave champion. For the men's wave performance title, we have 4 semifinalists, all of who are residents of Maui. First, my colleague Pete Cabrina, 27 years old. Pete is a former World Cup wave champion who lives here on the island as a touring pro. Pete has not spent over 3 weeks in one single place since 1981. In semifinal number 1, Pete is matched up against 23-year-old Dave Kalama, who is a neighbor of his up in Haiku, sail US 212. David's originally from California, an accomplished snow skier by way of Mammoth Mountain. As for sailing, he has a powerful technique. Also in semifinal number 2, you'll see 2 young superstars, Mark Angulo, 20 years old, US 18 on a sail, born in California, raised on Oahu. Mark and his family moved to Maui about 3 years ago. He is the leader of the new generation of wave warriors. Then there is Ian Boyd, now calling Paia his own. 18 years old, he's been sailing a solid 10 years, and just a recent graduate of high school. Let's take a look at wave performance and its judging criteria. 5 judges subjectively score the sailors and award points for their maneuvers. The judges watch closely the degree of difficulty of each maneuver, critical positioning on the wave, execution of the maneuver, degree of completion, continuity of the routine, and the size of the wave. 3 categories are scored are the wave riding, jumping, and finally the transitions. Wave riding, definitely spectacular. Like surfing, but with the added power of the sail. That's a high-scoring aerial re-entry. Then the high-scoring jumps. Spectacular to watch, like this valiant Flying Eagle attempt. Great flight, rough landing. And finally the transitions, coming about, changing directions. The basic jibe or tack. Now let's take a look back at earlier highlights, beginning with the round of 32. 28-year-old Mike Waltz, US 3 on his sail. They call him Mr. Hokipa because he was one of the first to sail this break, and he won the very first major wave sailing competition here in 1981, but he lost out to Pete Cabrina. Overall PBA World Cup title contender Anders Bringdahl, S10 on a sail from Stockholm, Sweden, had his year-long effort vanish in this heat against Maui's rising new superstar, 17-year-old Rush Randall. Anders Bringdahl ended up swimming ashore. Known as the Desert Rat because of his newfound passion, enduro dirt bike motorcycle racing, 28-year-old Matt Schweitzer began windsurfing some 19 years ago. That's when his father, Hoyle, invented the sport. Matt and his 13 Windsurfer World Championship titles met powerhouse David Kalama head-on, and he was simply outscored. In the round of 16, competition reached even a higher level. Rush Randall and his aggressive attack amazed everyone on the beach, but when he met veteran Pete Cabrina, his winning streak suddenly stopped. We'll continue with more of the men's main event highlights and find out what happened to the king, 5-time World Cup champion Robbie Nash. Maui is one of the 7 Hawaiian islands and is located just south of the Tropic of Cancer. Known as the Valley Isle, Maui has some unique geography which generates ideal conditions for the sport of board sailing. Foremost are the strong, steady winds. When the Central Valley heats up, a suction effect occurs, a wind venturi, between 10,000-foot Mount Haleakala and the West Maui Mountains. This causes the wind to increase considerably. Maui's windward north shore is usually blessed with breezes 10 knots stronger than the trade winds on the other islands. Thus, Hawaii, especially Maui, has become the international mecca for the sport of board sailing. And welcome back to Hokipa Beach Park for the Aloha Classic World Wave Sailing Championships. And there is Robbie Nash. Although he is a visitor to this island of Maui, every time there is an event here, he makes himself at home and he gets right down to business, the business of competitive board sailing. You can see it in his eyes. Experience, confidence, and determination. When Robbie Nash enters the water, people stop on the beach and watch what he's doing. They pay close attention. Binoculars and cameras are quickly focused on Nash. With his famous pink Mistral sail flying US 1111, he has been the long-reigning king of the sport of windsurfing and continues to perform his magic. Robbie's past performances here at Hokipa Beach for the most part have been stunning. Three-time winner of the O'Neill Invitational and overall winner of the last two Aloha Classics. His natural talent is backed up by years of experience. Born in La Jolla, California, raised in Kailua, Hawaii, he began surfing at the age of 3, began sailing catamarans at the age of 6, and board sailing at the age of 11. And at the ripe old age of 13, he won his first of many world titles in the windsurfer class. Over the years, Robbie has won over 75 major events. Most sailors have never entered that many regattas. His athletic ability seems to border that of the superhuman. During previous Aloha Classic events, Robbie has thrilled onlookers with his aerial bravado. Until this year, Nash has been seemingly unbeatable. He's been the dominant force and the consummate professional. He has won the overall World Cup title 5 years running. Sasha Mae, US 5 on a sail who lives upcountry Maui in Makawao by way of Taoski Valley, New Mexico, unfortunately met Robbie Nash in the round of 64. 18-year-old Sasha, who is a phenomenal sailor with barely 3 years of experience, was no match for Robbie's 14 years of experience. Then came Luke Hargraves from Cronulla, Australia. He was next to meet Nash, and as quietly predicted, Hargraves, the 22-year-old Australian Asian champion, was eliminated. An unusual heat for Robbie Nash, this round of 32 matchup against Hargraves. He came ashore looking for another sail. He felt underpowered out in the water and spent most of his 8 minutes of competition on the beach hunting for a sail. Meanwhile, out in the water, Hargraves scored points. But not enough. Nash sailed on and met his next victim. Mickey Eskimo, US 53, also known as Mickey Riebelitz, originally from Vienna, Austria, now a designer and test pilot here on Maui. The one-time Austrian karate champion was eventually knocked out by Nash in the round of 16. Quarterfinal action highlights Robbie Nash in the water against Ian Boyd, and Mark Angulo met Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Ian Boyd, 18 years old, originally from San Pedro, California, a seasoned veteran A pirouette jibe on the inside scores some big points. In the other heat, at the same time, just yards away, Mark Angulo, USA team, the 20-year-old from Maui, was scoring some big points on the waves. Boyd with a forward roll. Nash with a forward roll. And Angulo attempts the nearly impossible. Dunkerbeck, forward roll to the outside, going after the world title. And finally, in the top bracket, it was Pete Cabrina and Dave Kalama advancing into the semifinals, and two major upsets. Nash and Dunkerbeck eliminated, Angulo and Boyd advanced. Women's slalom final, 8 of the fastest ladies in the world. Specialized slalom equipment, a figure 8 course, in and out through the breaker line. Britt Dunkerbeck, E7. Natalie Lelievre, F12. Natalie Simone, F111. Lena Kerr from New Zealand, K2. Kelbiano, US1. Jennifer Aubie, US5. Julie de Woord, US301. And Irma de Jong from Holland, H194. Inside mark. And Britt Dunkerbeck, E7 on her orange sail from Gran Canaria Island in the Canary Islands of Spain. 3-time World Cup winner. An outstanding course racer. 6th place in slalom last year. And she is looking strong here as she leads the field. And takes off.
Look at the speed of Britt Dunkerbeck over there. She's going really fast.
Dunkerbeck to the outside mark. Beautiful carving jibe. Now has to contend with the waves.
Winning the last heat easily, apparently on her way to another win.
E7 on her sail, Britt Dunkerbeck. Her older brother, Bjorn Dunkerbeck, is waiting in the wings for his slalom event. Inside transition. And she is pulling away and will coast home for a comfortable win unless anything happens. F12 is the defending World Cup champion, Natalie Lelievre from France, currently in 2nd. But there's your leader. Outside mark one more time. No mistakes at all for Britt Dunkerbeck. Last year, 7th overall in the world. This year, going for a world title, but she has to contend with Natalie Lelievre from France. 3-time overall World Cup champion, currently in 2nd in this slalom final. Dunkerbeck approaching a wave from behind. And she overtakes the wave. And in flat water. And here comes your winner of the women's slalom final, Britt Dunkerbeck from the Canary Islands. Official results, the top 3. Britt Dunkerbeck, Natalie Lelievre, and Natalie Simone.
And there she comes third, Natalie Simone.
Britt, you made it look easy. It was not easy, was it?
No, because I'm not used to say slalom in the waves anymore, because we have never waves in the slalom in the World Cup. So it was a new experience for me, but it was nice, it was fun.
Britt's older brother, Bjorn, going after the overall world title when we continue. Welcome back to Maui. Here's a helicopter shot of the Maui Marriott on the west side of the island. But right now, all the action is on the North Shore. The men's slalom semi-final highlights. Let's take a look. 8-man figure 8 course, just like the ladies. A little more bloodthirsty here. Going after a world championship, Robbie Nash is behind and runs into, over, and on another sailor. That's just on the first mark. Nash outside transition, yet runs into another sailor. And the 5-time World Cup champion was not happy. Nash eliminated in the quarterfinals. In semifinal number 1, Anders Bringdahl, Sweden, S10. An outstanding course racer, and as you can see here, a fantastic slalom racer as well, easily advanced into the final in his title bid. Semifinal number 2, also going after that world championship, Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck easily advances, and now we are set for the 8-man figure 8 course men's slalom final, which will decide the world championship. And it's between Anders Bringdahl, S10 on his sail, and Bjorn Dunkerbeck, E11, and it is a clean start, no recall. And in the lead right now is Anders Bringdahl, clear with a blue bottom panel. And the orange sail is Bjorn Dunkerbeck, E11 on the sail. 21 years old from Stockholm, Sweden. His inside transition, beautiful jibe around the mark, is Anders Bringdahl, and he has a solid lead. And currently in third and moving up quickly to take over second, Bjorn Dunkerbeck. And here's the rest of the pack. Rafael Saul, Eric Thieme, Rolf Bachschuster, Axel Ohm, Olaf von Toll, and Luke Hargraves. Not one Hawaiian, let alone U.S. citizen, in this finals. Anders Bringdahl flying out to sea to the outside mark, and the waves have picked up for an added challenge. Bringdahl sailing 8 years, a 3-year pro. And besides sailing, he is an avid snow skier, way out in front. And trying to overtake that wave, which he does. And here comes Bjorn Dunkerbeck, the orange sail. Keep your eyes on him. There's Bjorn Dunkerbeck on the backside of that wave. Anders Bringdahl looks like he has this race and possibly the world championship wrapped up if he can hang on. Here comes Bringdahl. There's Bjorn Dunkerbeck. And Rafael Saul currently in third. And followed by Axel Ohm. Back to our leader. Specialized equipment, slalom boards, your leader S10, Anders Bringdahl from Sweden. Very difficult sailing here out through the waves. And here comes Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck picking the right line out through the surf. Big aerial jump, not wanting to get air. But closing in quickly, Bjorn Dunkerbeck, and is right in on him. Dunkerbeck. A tight jibe now, trying to stay upwind, and getting right in front of him is Anders Bringdahl. These are the two fighting for the overall PBA World Championship. And it is Bringdahl with the faster line to this inside mark. Bringdahl, third in the World Cup in 86 and 87. And looking to win overall. Here comes Bjorn Dunkerbeck, second overall in the 87 World Cup. This could be his year. Trying the outside and cuts it close. And maintaining that lead is Anders Bringdahl, former European funboard champion back in 1984 and a three-time Division II European champion as well. Still with that lead, big air, and controlling this flight beautifully is Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Remember, his sister, his younger sister Britt, just won the women's final. Much more than just a final event win here. It's the overall Professional Board Sailor Association's World Championship. The overall world title hinges on this race, and it is coming down to an extremely close race as Bjorn Dunkerbeck now closes up. Born in Denmark, now living in Spain, in the Canary Islands. Here comes Bjorn Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck to the right side of the screen, further upwind. Has to contend with slower riders, and look at this wave coming at him. Our leaders are going to approach from behind, and the rest of the pack is still going out through the surf. A single shot of Anders Bringdahl from Sweden. Hooked in, holding on, and just flying towards shore. And Bringdahl overtakes that wave, no problem. His inside transition. One more outside mark to go, then it's a home run stretch for Anders Bringdahl and his bid for the championship. Out through the surf. Bringdahl falls off the wind a little bit. Dunkerbeck heads upwind. Dunkerbeck with more air. Bringdahl, big air time, and Dunkerbeck misses that shoulder of the wave and really catches up. And here comes Dunkerbeck to the outside. You can see Bjorn Dunkerbeck has now overtaken Anders Bringdahl as they approach the final outside mark. Incredible sailing. They are just about lapping the field. Last outside mark. And it is Bjorn Dunkerbeck, the student and professional sailor, 19 years old, with a slight lead. And a beat on the finish line. In this, the men's slalom final of the ALOHA Classic World Wave Sailing Championship, the final event of the year. And Dunkerbeck has about a 5-meter lead. Up and over the wave, Dunkerbeck now has put some distance between himself and Anders Bringdahl, who was leading the entire race until that last mark. Here is Bjorn Dunkerbeck, 19 years old, crosses over the finish line, wins the men's slalom event, and is now your new World Cup champion. Here are the results, and now with this short break, let's look back to 1986, to the most dramatic wave ever ridden in competition. Here's my live call. From Santa Monica, California, comes Richie Myers. Very anticlimactic. 5,000 people on the beach watching this Masters final, and they are sailing 2-foot slop. Myers continues with the wave. Masonville pulls out. Myers scores points. His transition, a clean exit. Stays upright, and he shoots on out with some speed. Another inside wave for Craig Masonville. Masonville scoring some points. To the outside, Richie Myers has made it. He's found an opening, a lull in the waves. Rich Myers, 31 years old, an actor, a model. From Santa Monica, California, is way to the outside, while Masonville goes down on the inside and can only hope to get restarted. Look at the waves to the outside. Rich Myers is out there. He does his transition. The largest wave of the set. This is a 10-foot groundswell. Now it hits the reef. It's got some west into it. It starts to close out. He shoots straight for the bottom and tries to get away from this wall of whitewater. Richie Myers gets eaten. Richie Myers gets axed by this 20-foot wall of water, loses his rig, and he is being tossed around underneath that water. Hopefully he's okay. Everybody on the beach is watching. The lifeguards are helpless. There's no way they can survive that. Myers now takes a deep breath, goes down deep as he can. He is getting worked. It is incredible. Myers makes it to the outside and just gets worked by the largest set wave. He has lost his rig. It is to the inside. He is waving for help. No one right now that can help him. Myers now trying to get some air in his lungs. He has just been totally torn apart, thrown around, and beat up by this surf. His rig looks like it's still intact. It is on the inside. He waves. He has now made it to the inside. And Richie Myers went on to win the Masters Wave Event 1986 Aloha Classic. More wave performance coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ho'okipa Beach on the island of Maui in the Hawaiian Islands. Now let's take a look at highlights of our 4 finalists. In 4th place, Natalie Siebel from Germany. Coming in 3rd in wave performance, Julie DeWord from Maui, originally from New Mexico. Angela Cochran coming in 2nd, originally from Florida, now a Maui local. And winning, Dana Dawes from Maui by way of Oahu. Congratulations to Dana Dawes. Highlight semi-final action. Pete Cabrina, Dave Kalama, Ian Boyd, and Mark Angulo. Coming up next, the Ho'okipa Air Force. Something special in the air. Stay with us. With over 144 competitors entered in the Aloha Classic, it would be impossible to show you all the high-flying action at the preliminary rounds, but we'll try. To those sailors who attempted the outrageous, we salute you and welcome to the ultimate super session. Here's the Ho'okipa Air Force. Men's wave performance final. Two undefeated sailors. Mark Angulo, USA team, picks up the first wave right as the horn starts the heat. And right behind him is David Kalama picking up the next wave. Beautiful set waves coming in here. Angulo pulls out. This is David Kalama, 23 years old, Haiku Maui. He's been sailing only 3 years. An outstanding athlete. Gets his speed. Beautiful combination turn. And slaps against the whitewater one more time. There it looks like to be a transition, but no, sailing clue first, he bounces off the whitewater. There he does a 360 and a sail 360. And there's his inside transition and a high-scoring wave for David Kalama. Here's Mark Angulo, US 18. A third place in the 85 Aloha Classic, a second in 1987. Has been shut out. Back to David Kalama, heads out, looking for a ramp. Over one wave, here's his ramp. Big aerial, beautiful forward roll from David Kalama. And is scoring some big points with that last wave coming in and the big jump going out. Now to the inside is Mark Angulo, US 18, originally from California. Take a look at this transition. A helicopter tack. And Mark Angulo pulls it off and scores some good points. Here's Kalama now on a wave. A great aerialist. David Kalama, the power surfer. Originally from Mammoth Mountain, California. A phenomenal snow skier. Good moves. And again, he goes upwind on this wave. Combination turns downwind and works his way to the shoulder. As we watch Mark Angulo now, tries to get up ahead of steam, gets his board on a plane. Does he have a ramp? Doesn't take much, and he throws it into a forward roll, lands perfectly, and sails off. Mark Angulo, who turned pro at the age of 16, and is looking like a seasoned veteran for only 20 years old. Now this is 23-year-old David Kalama. He heads out, and Angulo now patiently waits for a wave to ride in, taking his time. Kalama heads out, Angulo comes in. Small wave for Angulo. Now it takes shape on the inside. Gets his feet. Serious bottom turn off the top. Another good bottom turn. Big aerial re-entry on the closeout section for Mark Angulo. Angulo has been sailing since the age of 14, a total of 7 years. A board 360 type of a transition, he goes down. Outside transition for David Kalama. And he looks back out. You can see he's watching for a set wave out the back. And he stalls his board and waits for the next one. Meanwhile, Mark Angulo is up and on a plane. Here's a ramp. Beautiful high flying jump. Great control in the air. More wave to the outside. Angulo one more time, rocket air. And a nose first landing. A quick water start for him as David Kalama picks up this beautiful outside wave. Big re-entry. One of the largest waves of the finals. Angulo scoring some big points on the way out, and Kalama big points on the way in, riding those waves as we watch the 20-year-old Mark Angulo, who is long overdue for a major victory here at Hokipa. David Kalama to the inside. Blistering this wave. A jump jibe on the inside. An aerial jump jibe for his transition. Here is Angulo now. The wave takes shape on a reef called H. Poco. Slides underneath the cascading section. Big re-entry off the lip. And Angulo scoring some big points for that difficult and dangerous maneuver. And he continues down the line. We'll be right back with the conclusion of the men's finals. Stay with us. Here on the island of Maui as we continue with the men's wave performance final. This is Dave Kalama. And David got off to a great start earlier in the heat and is sailing very solid, trying what they call a goose screw. Invented by this man, Mark Angulo, and Angulo does a forward roll and pulls it off. Angulo with a slow start beginning this heat is coming on strong. Mark Angulo to the outside, US 18. And there is Kalama trying to get some air. Way to the outside, big wave. It is Mark Angulo. A quick turnaround, and it is Dave Kalama now picking up the next wave, the inside set wave. Angulo, quick water start, gets another aerial. Blazing action here as we close down the men's final. One-handed cutback on the face of the wave. Another trick, but Kalama goes down. And that ends the heat between Mark Angulo, US 18, and David Kalama, US 212. The horn blast. Let's take a look one more time at Angulo's big aerial one-handed re-entry. As we wait to get the judge's decision, let's take a look at the other titles that were decided this weekend. The women's wave performance title, Natalie Siebel, Germany. The women's slalom, course racing and overall world champion now is Natalie Lelièvre from France. And although Robbie Nash does not win his 6th overall World Cup championship, he does win the men's wave performance title. Men's course racing champion Anders Bringdahl and the men's overall world champion and slalom champion Bjorn Dunkerbeck from Spain. Now let's go down to Pete Cabrina and our winner.
Okay, Mark, you finally did it after making the finals a couple times, getting injured earlier this year. How do you feel?
I feel really good, and I'm really happy to be here. Definitely, you know, there's so many people that I could thank, all the people that supported me. But I definitely like to thank the first person, most of all, would be my dad and, you know, my mom. I'd like to thank them for all the support they've given me, because without them, I wouldn't be here. But I'm stoked. I'm really stoked, and it's a good event.
Yeah, you sailed a great heat. No injuries this time. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Good on you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right.
The official results, women's wave performance finals. Coming in first, Dana Dawes, followed by Angela Cochran, Julie DeWord, and Natalie Siebel. For the men, it was Mark Angulo winning, followed by David Kalama, Ian Boyd, and Pete Cabrina. Until next year, aloha.
Summer's out of reach.